Can you guess the camera settings that I used for this photo? I'm going to walk you through the 3 camera settings that froze this moment with tack-sharp detail, because with wildlife, sometimes you don't get second chances. So I was on a family vacation in Florida with my wife and kids, and the house that we rented sat right next to an empty field full of these burrowing owls. So before sunset, I grabbed my Nikon D500 with my 200 to 500 lens and I headed outside. But before I left the house, I pre-dialed my camera settings, and that's because I knew exactly what I wanted for these photos. And more importantly, because wildlife doesn't always wait, am I right? These owls could just pop up and disappear in seconds. And I'm going to share those camera settings in just a second. So I walked out to the field and I sat down and I waited. Then it happened. This owl popped up from its burrow about 20 feet away, looked right at me and stood there perfectly still. So I raised my camera and I fired off a few frames. Now the background is soft and creamy and those greens just melt away. And that's because of the distance between the owl and whatever was behind it, probably about 50 feet or more. Now look at those eyes, they're tack sharp and you can see every feather, every detail. And that sharpness came from my shutter speed freezing the moment. And then we have the light which wraps around the owl. It's soft and even, no harsh shadows, no blown out highlights. And that's what late afternoon light does. And that's what I recommend shooting wildlife in. So here are the 3 settings that I pre-dialed before I even saw the owl. So shutter speed, 1/500th of a second to freeze any movement. Then aperture was set to 5.6, which was wide enough to blur the background, but still sharp enough to keep the whole owl in focus. And then I had auto ISO set up and the camera set it to ISO 1000, not too high, but just enough to keep the exposure balance. Now those 3 settings work together, and because I set them before the moment happened, I didn't have to think about it during the photo shoot. I just raised the camera and I captured these images.